Right, Zephaniah chapter 2. And I've titled this very short, a couple of slides, Zephaniah 2, Judah and or the Philistines gathering for judgment before the day of the Lord. It says in Zephaniah chapter 2 verses 1 to 2, Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Now, the context of Zephaniah chapter 2, from chapter 1, God is castigating Jerusalem and Judah, and also the Cimmerians, which are they are descendants of the Philistines. And God is saying, gather together before the fierce day of the Lord. Gather together, O nation not desired. Seek the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. So there's a tremendous, even though judgment is coming, God is not out to destroy those that are humble of heart, the meek. You know, God, the high and lofty one who dwells in eternity, also dwells with him that is of a meek and contrite heart, to revive the heart of the lowly. So that is the Lord's attitude towards us. He brings judgment often because of our stiff-necked, hard-hearted ways. But he is merciful to the remnant of his flock that fear him. And God is saying he's going to gather a nation together and for judgment. But he's going to save the meek of the earth. It may be that the meek of the earth will be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. For Gaza shall be forsaken and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted out. Well, those are all Philistine cities. So the idea here is most likely that Gaza is going to gather together. That these Philistine cities are going to come together before the fierce day of the Lord, and also possibly that Judah in unbelief will be gathered before the day of the Lord. However you view it, there is a gathering together of somebody in the land prior to the day of the Lord. And the context is regarding the Philistines and also Judah and Jerusalem. I believe that God is gathering the Jewish people into the land of Israel for salvation, but also for judgment, because the current state of Israel is not actually a godly nation any more than Australia or America is a godly nation, but there may be godly people amongst it. I'm really glad that God is gathering the Jews back to their land, but it's an incomplete process, and the nation is not under the Torah as such, and the rabbis that claim to follow the Torah deny the Torah because they deny the Son. Yeshua says that Moses spoke of him, and yet the rabbinical leaders of religious Judah deny the Son and will throw out of the synagogue those that believe in him. And they treat Yeshua as a foreigner, as a Edomite, when he's actually their own brother. So this is a sin that needs to be repented of. But not everything that the rabbis do is wrong either. There's a lot of things that they do that are right in accordance with the Torah. Just like there's many things that are in what's called the Christian church that are many things that we have done that are against the Torah. For example, Christmas and Easter and breaking the Sabbath and all of these sorts of things. So there is a gathering together before the day of the Lord for judgment. And indeed, even when God gathers the lost tribes back to the land, God's going to bless them, but we're not out of the woods yet, because there is still the events of the book of Revelation, the time of Jacob's trouble. So there's still going to be people that rebel against the Lord. When God brings the lost tribes out of the nations and joins them with the house of Judah, Judah would have gone through some turmoil. The Jews in the land of Israel today would have gone through some turmoil that will make them reassess their attitude towards Christians, and in particular to Messianic believers and towards those that claim to follow, to belong to the lost tribes. There's going to be a time when Judah turns his heart to his brethren. So there must be some travail and trials of the heart that the Jewish people need to go through in the land of Israel in order to receive us, the descendants of the lost tribes. And only God can reveal to their heart that we are from Jacob and not from Edom. And by their fruit you shall know them. So eventually Judah will turn his heart towards his brethren, even as Moses prayed and gave him a blessing and prayed that Judah would turn his heart towards his brethren. So there's a gathering together before the day of the Lord for judgment. And it's very interesting that when you search the scriptures, there's a lot about the return of the lost tribes, the house of Israel back to the land, but not so much about the house of Judah. It's kind of like the Jews never really quite left. They had a very dwindling presence in the Holy Land, but they've always had some people there. And so their regathering is miraculous, but it's not openly miraculous. But the regathering of the lost tribes is going to be openly miraculous. And Gaza and the Philistines are very much involved with last days prophecy, and I believe that the Gaza Strip is really the stronghold of the ancient Philistines, and even in Philistia, the Philistines were actually, or Peleshet in Hebrew, they were descendants of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, and Egypt has a hand overseeing Gaza and the Philistines. But the West Bank on the other side of Israel seems to be slowly being gotten ready for the removal of the Philistines, or the Palestinians, and getting ready to receive the 10 lost tribes and the remnant of Judah also. So, before God returns the lost tribes, He will judge them, along with the nations that they are scattered amongst. Wars, diseases, repressive governments, famine. These are ways that God has brought judgment in the past. Meanwhile, the Jewish state of Israel will undergo its own transformation under heavy judgments as God brings them to repentance, so that they have a nation that is Torah-based and Yeshua-accepting. And I might add that are willing to accept the lost tribes as a matter of principle when God brings them back. Of course, the Lord is going to bring us back. We're not going to just waltz into the Holy Land and get our passport stamped. God is going to turn the world upside down to bring Ephraim home, and we won't need to fill in any forms at the customs office at the airport. We're going to be brought back by the supernatural power of God and into a different sort of Israel. I believe that the current state of Israel that is run by international Freemasonry to some degree, and that reports to Rome. Shimon Peres goes to Rome very regularly and meets with his master, the Pope. But the Jews, the true Torah-based Jews that have a real heart for the Torah, they're going to go through some trials that will, and the nation is going to be transformed, and it's going to be ready to accept us, and we are going to be also transformed to be ready to enter into the land. And the Lord Yahweh is going to organize all this. and this is what one of the big purposes of the Messiah is actually to bring back the 10 lost tribes, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So let's continue. We've had a look at Zephaniah chapter 2, and now let's have a look at Ezekiel 37.